Today on the show, we're recording this on the fly, JL, so I'm not actually sure where we're going to cut this up, but we recorded our part 2 and it went for about an hour and 30 minutes. So we're actually going to cut this into part 2 and part 3 of our preseason predictions. We're going to talk about, the Los Angeles Lakers to start off with this part, and then we'll end up talking about the Bucks as well, and then we'll talk about other teams in the next part. So it's going to be a great show. It's time for tip-off.
Sticking you and taking all your money. When he's sticking you and taking all your money.
Welcome to the Bronx Cheer Basketball Show. I'm your host, Nathan Callanan. We're coming to you from Melbourne, Australia, where it is currently 6:13 p.m. on Tuesday the
26th,
the 20th. I get jumbled up because of the other show, but it's Tuesday. It's the 26th of October. It's 6:14 p.m. I'm joined by a guy in the studio who loves.
What do you got for me this
What
week?
have I got for you this week? He loves the Celtics and he's got high hopes for Time Lord. Jack Lynch, how are you? Welcome to the studio.
You've lost me on the introduction there.
I've lost myself.
It's getting worse and worse every week, but no, I'm well. Sun's shining, so it's been a good day, and I'm excited to be for the first time ever in the studio.
Yeah, welcome to everyone. If you're new to the show, make sure to hit that subscribe button on either YouTube or whatever podcast app you're on, if you're listening as well. But also, don't forget to check us out on YouTube. Check out the
good-looking roosters.
Yeah, the good-looking roosters. So here we are on YouTube. This is part 2 of our preseason predictions. Jack, you might say to me, hold on, the season started. Well, here's the thing. This is all the time we have, all right? So, bit of hindsight this week with our predictions. You said to me off the pod that you actually tried to pretend that you hadn't seen some of these teams play.
Well, I'm still ready to rip into the Lakers anyway.
That's
so
right. Rip into the Lakers, and then we will do. We finished off with the Clippers last week. We did 13 teams this week. We're going to do the rest of the 17 now, starting with the Los Angeles Lakers. JL, they kept 3 players. They retained 3 players: Anthony Davis, Taylor Horton-Tucker, and LeBron James. Of course, they retained those 3. They brought in Carmelo Anthony, Trevor Ariza. Tell me if you see a pattern here. Avery Bradley, Wayne Ellington, Dwight Howard, Jay Huff, the rookie. Jay Huff or Jay Huff?
I've got no idea.
DeAndre Jordan, Rajon Rondo, and Russell Westbrook. I left out a few names there. Tell me if you see the theme there with the Lakers.
They're old as shit. There's no other way to put it. They lost all their young talent, which was part of that five-team trade for Westbrook. And I don't even think it makes them better. Yeah.
I actually, and we'll get to later, spoiler, I think they lost the trade. I think, I don't care. I mean, I'm the guy. I hate Westbrook. I can't stand his play. I can't stand how proud he is of being so average. More so on the tail end of his career. Like, I'll give everyone that, at his best, especially his MVP season. I thought he actually did deserve that, even over James Harden. But like now, I can't stand how he puffs his chest, his nostrils, after he's just slammed a dunk or he's just banked in a shot.
And he's 1 for 13.
Yeah, and he's just banked in a shot. And I can't stand people. People who attack the game, I've said this before, people who attack the game, you've got to be efficient if you're going to attack the game, and he's not efficient. I hate his demeanor. And as you were saying, they've lost their young talent and the silkiness. I don't know if the silkiness is there with the Lakers.
Well, the players they brought in, not that they're bad players at all, but they are quite one-dimensional. Melo's going to be shooting 3. He's not going to be running the offense himself. Bazemore's going to be taking dumb fouls and turning the ball over. But like Dwight Howard, DJ, even Malik Monk and Kendrick Nunn, all are quite one-dimensional.
Yeah.
There's just there's not that many players that can. Even someone like Alex Caruso, who's been a bit of a meme for quite a while, but you could plug him into any offense and any defense and he play his role. Whereas these guys, I'm just not quite sure about. They're all good enough players to have good games occasionally like Mallow did the other night. But I don't see them doing that in the playoffs, and especially don't see more than one of these guys in the playoffs showing up per game.
Yep. I, as I said, a bit of hindsight we have for this podcast. The first few games, their closing lineup was AD, LeBron. Surprised about either. Not surprised about either of those.
Get AD off the
AD, LeBron, Westbrook, Bazemore, and Avery Bradley. The LeBron Los Angeles Lakers and AD have Bazemore in their closing lineup. Maybe that's going to change with THT coming back, and maybe I don't know who pushes him out of it, but. I'm not excited. Like
even Avery Bradley, he got cut by the Warriors.
Yeah,
he can't play. So I don't know.
I don't know, man. I think that, and I said this last week. I'll keep saying it. This year because of no Kawhi, we know Portland are always shaky. We know that Dallas, Porzingis shakiness. The Lakers may get to the finals just because it's a bit uncertain in the West this year.
It's bizarre to think that the West is going to be an easier run to the finals than in the East.
Yep, that's right. It's so bizarre. So the question, JL, that I'm asking you across these two pods, the Los Angeles Lakers, they finished last season, I got this ready just now, 7th, and then we're in the playing game. They won their playing game straight out. Are they higher or lower this season? Where are they finishing?
They're finishing higher. Last year was... They're not going to be that riddled with injuries.
Yeah,
sure.
the injuries.
Like LeBron and AD should, it's unlikely they both miss so much time, especially together. So they'll be higher, but in terms of going into the playoffs, I assume they're going to win a series this year.
Yeah.
I'd imagine any team with LeBron and AD is going to win at least one series, but I don't see them going that much further. So I think last year when they did finish 7th and lost in the first round, everyone was like, injuries did it. They're still, it's not the back-to-back, or they're not the reigning champions anymore, but we're going to hold them in that esteem.
Yep.
Whereas now, I don't think that's the case.
No. Yeah, no, I'll go higher as well, 7th, because above them last season was Portland, Dallas. I said, these shaky types. Clippers, no Kawhi. Denver, most of the season without Murray. And then you be the judge of Phoenix and Utah. I think just because of the uncertainty, which I'll keep using that word, in the West this season, the Lakers will get up higher, but this definitely isn't bubble Lakers. This isn't. No. I honestly, maybe KCP is declining, but I would seriously rather have KCP over Russell Westbrook. I'm sorry.
So I'm weird. Not that I think I'm one of the few people that don't have a bias against Westbrook. I think I actually see him for what he is. You hate him.
Yeah.
But his last season, like the bubble season with Houston, we averaged for like 31 points per game for a month or something like that with Harden when they were like, we've got to go super small. He's good with spacing. Then even with Washington last year, started the season awfully, but the back half of the year, he was playing like an MVP candidate, and single-handedly got them into the playoff contention. So he might take a while to warm up, and he still does have it in him to play well. It's just... When does he get that? When does he get to that point?
AD and LeBron.
Do they have the spacing to support him, to support his play style? And if AD is still like maintaining that he has to play the 4, and they've got to play with Dwight in the lineup, then no, they don't have that spacing.
AD's what is it? He's he must play the 4, as you're saying. That annoys the shit out of me. And they always have to get a center. You see the Dwight Howard thing. Oh, man.
Always.
I can't stand AD being so scared of the 5, but that's the Los Angeles Lakers. Let's get on to the Memphis Grizzlies. These two teams played the other day. The Grizzlies, unfortunately, came out second best against the Lakers. But the Grizzlies lost Grayson Allen, which I think is... Look, he's had his weird past, the tripping and that, but last season, he was deadly from 3. So... I think that's a bit of a loss, but at the same time, I've got here one of, if not the best drafting team of recent times. The players that they've recently drafted, of course, Ja Morant, but then Jaren Jackson Jr. Is Desmond Desmond Bain, yeah. Sorry, I was looking for his name. Desmond Bain's on this team. Of course, Dylan Brooks, Tillman, and Killian Tilly's not that bad as well. I'm always impressed, and it's just going one way. They're just going, they're ascending, and that's it for the Grizzlies. What have you got for them?
I think the most impressive part about Memphis is they were able to make the jump to the playoffs, which is probably the hardest thing to do, especially in that loaded West where Phoenix didn't do it for however many years. Sacramento have been trying to do it since 2004, 5. It's not easy to be a bottom feeding team and then grab, 3 or 4 pieces and then go from, 14th, 15th to 8th.
Yep.
It usually is a long process, and Memphis surprised everyone and managed to do it. Whether or not I don't know if they overachieved last year. I think they're probably still going to be at a similar level, but their play style is going to be so much greater this year. You mentioned Ja. He's so fucking good. Like,
started this season hot as well.
40 and 10 against the Lakers. Missed that free throw, which is so unfair because that would have been a great overtime period. But I don't know. I feel like they've just got a really well-rounded lineup. Kyle Anderson, who they brought in from the Spurs a few years ago, the slowest guy on earth, but his defense is fantastic. Even someone like Brandon Clark, I think was a second-round draft pick off memory, or is definitely out of the lottery. He's just solid.
Yeah.
Jackson Jr., weird-looking jump shot, but stretches the floor, plays defense on the interior. They're just really well-rounded.
D'Anthony Melton. Don't ever forget that name. Don't ever forget Javon Carter or D'Anthony Melton.
They're the same person. Even Tyus Jones is a good point guard.
Yep.
He's got one of the best assist-to-turnover ratios in the league, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong. I'm sorry that I didn't check out Tyus Jones' stats pre-pod. But then bringing in someone like Steven Adams, who, as we know, isn't going to change the game offensively, but will just be a solid presence defensively and just hold those structures there. Now they've got a great lineup, pushing the 8th seed again.
Yeah, so is that what you got again? So last season the Grizzlies finished 9th, and then they beat the Warriors in that sort of second playing game, and then they took 1 or 2 games off the Jazz.
They took one.
Yeah,
Ja had 39 and 12 or something.
Yep. And it is sad that they lost, or they traded Valanciunas, because I think that he was becoming a bit of a fan favourite. He was, at times, their best player last year. Ja in and out.
He's instant offense. Big guys like that still have post moves. You can't play them consistently, but even something like Enes Kanter, you throw him in, he's going to get you. He's going to get shots off.
Offense, yes.
But, the issue there, even for JV, was defense.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so do you think they're going up or down from 9th?
I'll say 8th, so I'm going up.
Yeah.
But even if they don't, I still think they'll improve, if that makes sense.
Yep. No, that does make sense. I reckon they will go above 9th. I reckon, somewhere 8th and up. Of course, that's what above 9th means. The Miami Heat. They retained Jimmy, Bam, Dwayne Dedman, who I always like as a backup big or just eating up the minutes. Udonis Haslem is still on the Heat.
I love UD. Sorry, UH. That doesn't really make sense. Does he get called UD? Why did that come out?
I don't know. I don't know.
Really, I don't know. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, UD. Yeah, UD. UH is not doesn't have the same ring to it. Tyler Hero, and Victor Oladipo. Victor Oladipo is still on the Heat.
Yeah. See how much money he turned down?
I didn't even know he's still on the Heat.
Because he's shit. His career's done.
Shit. Duncan Robinson, and that's about it. And then they brought in Kyle Lowry, Caleb Martin. You know which one he is?
One of the two.
We talked about the other one last week. And Markieff Morris and PJ Tucker, who left his Milwaukee Bucks, and then they beat them. What did they beat them last week? By like 40, 50 points, something like that?
20-odd.
20-odd.
Something like that.
So sorry, Bucks fans. You got a ring now. What are we thinking about the Miami Heat down in South Beach?
I don't really think a lot changes. And I think I'm one of the few that do think. I don't know. A lot of people have them like as high as like 5th, 6th in their rankings. I think their defense does improve. Obviously, Jimmy's going to be leading that. Bam can defend really well. Lowry's great for a point guard. PJ Tucker as well. Even Markieff Morris can hold his own. They've got good defenders, but their defense was already good. That was never the issue.
Yep.
It was offense, and they haven't really demonstrated anyone that. Well, no one's come in to fix that issue.
Yep.
So my expectation is, and this might be a little bit of a hot take, but for them to go far, Tyler Hero needs to be their best offensive player.
Okay.
He won't be their number one option, but so far in the preseason, in the first few games of the season, he's putting up big numbers. He's shooting the ball really well, which is almost like he was in the bubble.
Yep.
He needs to be like a 26 points per game kind of guy.
Yep.
Jimmy's going to get his 19.
26, you said.
26, and I think he's got it in him. He's already starting hot.
Shoot.
He's probably going to finish around 22, 23, I think.
Yeah.
But if he wants to elevate this team, he needs to be up there, which is a lot of pressure on a guy that's not actually that good. But I think he can. I think he can do it. Jimmy's going to get his 19 and 9 and 9, and those games he'll have a few 30-pointers. But
he's going to get up at 3 a.m.
Bloody Jimmy. But I think Tyler Hero is going to have to be that. He's going to have to carry the offense.
Yep.
And then people like Kyle Lowry, we know what he's going to do. He's going to get his 16, 17 points, and they're just going to be feeding Hero. He's the only one that can consistently create his own shot off the dribble, score at all three levels, at the rim, mid-range, and from three. I think they're really going to be feeding him all season long.
So up or down from they finished last season. They were one of the really bad COVID teams. Them and Dallas last season. Last season they ended up climbing up to 6th. My numbers tell me. It doesn't have the numbers here, so bear with me. They climbed up to 6th, finishing higher or lower in the Eastern Conference standings.
This is what we talked about last week.
Surely not.
Is that there are so many teams that are all looking to go up. I'm going to keep them at 6th.
Keep them at 6th. The Miami Heat.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this is the Heat. This is what they do. They cruise in the regular season. They do what they have to do. And then they famously say, as Jimmy Butler said, get me to the playoffs and I'll do the rest. So I'm sticking with 6.
I'm going to go with, because I'm an against the grain guy. This is not against the grain prediction, but their sort of adversity season last season with the COVID, I'm going to go with they're going to have a pretty smooth season this season. And I'm going to put the Miami Heat definitely above 6th. I'm going to put them somewhere in the top 3.
Yeah.
Yep. I reckon they're one of the
they're
best
not going to be
three
better
teams in
than
the East.
Brooklyn or Milwaukee.
No.
So you're putting them 3rd.
Yeah. But yeah. And that's tier 1 in the East for me. I said that sort of last week. That's tier 1. And then tier 2 is made up
That's
of
a bloodbath.
that's a bloodbath. And then there's, Charlotte. No, Charlotte
have been playing well.
Charlotte, they've been winning.
Had the first loss of the season today.
Yeah, Charlotte been winning. So that's hindsight there. But anyway, let's talk about PJ Tucker's old team.
Which one? You got about 7 years.
Sorry, his most recent team, the Milwaukee Bucks, the current reigning champions. They retained Giannis Antetokounmpo, Thanasis Antetokounmpo, Connaughton, Dante DiVincenzo, Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, and Bobby Portis.
You forgot Jordan Moore.
Oh wait, is he not a rookie?
No. So I don't think he really did anything last year, but he looks so good.
Bro, he looks so good.
Yeah.
He in that first game against Brooklyn especially, I was like, all right.
He looks like Tyler Hero in the bubble.
I was like, where the hell did this guy come from? And he's got size as well. He doesn't look... I was like, he doesn't look like a rookie. He doesn't play like it. Turns out he's not one. Jordan Nwora, yes. So for me, they've retained the core.
And they brought in... The big gun.
Yeah, they...
Semi Ojeleye.
Is it Semi or Shemi?
Shemi, technically, but it's Semi.
Is he not American? Is he...
It's a Brazilian name, I think, of memory. And it's 14 letters long. and Shemi is a small part of it.
Oh, okay.
So
Yep.
It's
So
a shame.
they also brought in Grayson Allen, who I went on about how impressed I am with his 3-point knockdown shooting. George Hill's back from Philly. Rodney Hood and Shemi are the main names. They lost Bryn Forbes, sad. Justin Jackson doesn't have a team, it seems. That's crazy. I thought that Justin Jackson... Get ready to laugh. I thought that
Really?
Justin Jackson could be as good as KD. I thought in college, man, this guy for North Carolina, I was like, this guy is going to be as good as KD. I can't believe I just said that on the microphone. And he's just been bounced around every team. I've kept an eye on him. And I
was he at Dallas first or Sacramento? Sacramento, wasn't he?
He was at Sacramento first? I don't know which one was first.
Well, he's no good.
He's no good. He's
He's no
smaller. He looked bigger in college.
It's funny that because they're smaller.
Anyway, that was just my little embarrassment. What are the Milwaukee Bucks doing? Are they
They're
going higher than winning the championship, or are they going lower?
going higher. Look, the Bucks. There's nothing to even really talk about them. They're going to run it back. There's pretty much no real changes there except for my man Semi Ojeleye, who's going to be big in the weights room and small off the court on the court, I should say. But no, it's the same lineup. We know what we're going to see. Giannis has added something to his game every single year, and his jump shot now actually looks good. And if it is as good as he says, then they're going to be hard to stop. So they're going to the conference finals.
Yep.
And it just depends on the Nets' health.
Yep. So Giannis Antetokounmpo is now 27 this year. He's going to be 27 this year. And you've gone on about before how he, he's only young. He's doing so much. He's 2 MVPs. That game 6, I've always slammed Giannis.
Yeah.
Blah, blah.
You thought him and Ben Simmons.
I always said that him and Ben Simmons are very similar. It's just that Giannis is longer. Ben Simmons is better at passing. How silly does that look now? Game 6 Giannis. I should probably have actually this stats up, but we all know, if you did see it, those free throws and the efficiency that he made them in Game 6 was the difference. And I've got here 2021 NBA Game 6 Giannis, brackets free throw machine, if sustained, can enter the top 5 in the GOAT debate by the end of his career. Just that Game 6 Giannis. If he's going to come now...
Well, if it's Game 6 Giannis and he's scoring 50 points every game, then of course he's going to be in that debate. We're not getting that Game 6 Giannis.
But you know what I mean. So at least I'm going to ask for 80% from the free throw line.
Yeah.
If he can do that... If he can do that for the tail end of his career, even if it starts next year, he gets to 70% this year. It's like everyone says about Ben. You don't actually really need to shoot jump shots. If you could just make your shots at the line, you'd be unstoppable. Giannis, if he can make his shots at the line, I know he shoots as well, but if he can make those shots at the line, well, how the hell do you stop Giannis Antetokounmpo? You got a lot to unpack.
Whose spot in your top 5 of all time does he take?
This is for another conversation, but I would put him over some of the heights of, some of the top 5 up there. So you got your LeBron, your MJ, you've got your, the names such as Magic and Kareem for me. And I haven't thought about my top 5, so this is maybe not exactly it. And then who else? There's I like the Dream, and stuff like that, but I would even go, and this is huge. This just sounds silly, to be honest, actually. But I would even insert him higher. Game 6 Giannis. Game 6 Giannis I've got written here. I would insert Game 6 Giannis higher than Magic and Kareem. But hold on. I know I've sort of stepped in it here, but I'm saying...
Well, I mean, if you're saying if he plays like Game 6...
Yes.
And you say 80% of that, so what's that?
Yes.
My maths is pretty awful here, but that's 40 points per game, essentially, for the rest of his career. Of course, he's going to be in that conversation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So if he averages...
So if he averaged 31 and 80% from the free throw line, doing what he does now, he gets there for me. Definitely gets another ring.
No.
Does he get there?
No. Because all the greats, the top 5, top 10 top 10 ever.
Yeah.
Probably the slowest to start in the top 10 ever would be Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
And it took him 3 years to even become, a starter in the league.
Yep.
Everyone else was great from the get-go. It's so hard to catch up on that resume. When with Giannis's play style, he's 27, you said now. He might only have 7 more elite years.
Yeah.
Which sounds like still a lot.
That's a lot of years.
But you look at someone like LeBron who's had 18 All-NBA first teams or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The resume, it might have one of the greatest peaks ever.
Yeah, because I'm a very peak of the powers guy.
Whereas NBA, I feel like the NBA, it's all about longevity.
I always say that. I always say that I don't even know if it's a term, but when sort of ranking, my number one criteria is sustained peak of the powers. Because peak of the powers just...
So Michael Carter-Williams in his first game doesn't count.
In his first game. Michael Carter-Williams nearly getting a quadruple-double. That's what I'm saying. Sustained peak of his powers, I think that the peak of his powers, Giannis Antetokounmpo, is some of the best. When I say some of the best, some of the absolute best that we've seen all time. Sorry, with the free throw making. Without the free throw making, he's Michael Carter-Williams. He's Ben Simmons. I'm back. He's back. He's Ben Simmons without... that's how black and white it is for me, because these non-shooting or non-efficiently shooting players are so easily stopped. But if you send Giannis to the line and he's hitting 80%...
League's fucked.
Come on, man. And you would feel it. You would feel it. That everyone would feel it if he... So... He's been averaging 28, 30 points per game already. Imagine if he did hit all those free throws.
What's he shoot, 60%? He'd only average 3 more points per game.
No, he wouldn't. He would get more. He misses a lot, as in points. He'd get at least, off free throws, I reckon he'd get at least 4 to 5 more points a game.
How many times this is where we need the stats.
This is where we need the stats, yeah. Well, we're moving from the studio soon. We're upgrading again. All right, let's move on. So the Milwaukee Bucks. So what do you got for them? Higher or lower? Last season
I'm going to go lower, but the Eastern Conference Finals.
They finished third in the standings.
Well, then I'll go higher. They'll be second.
Second and making the Eastern Conference Finals against the Nets. Yeah. Pretty much same. I got the same. Giannis is top 5 all time. It's so funny. Someone's gonna get a clip of me and just last year and how I was saying he's not even better than Ben Simmons. What is Ben Simmons all time?
You know how they did 50 players the 50-year anniversary? Now they're on 75 players, 75.
Yeah.
Maybe when the NBA is gone for 400 years, we might see him in that conversation.
All right, Minnesota Timberwolves. They retained Malik Beasley, Anthony Edwards, Josh Okogie, D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns, and a few others. They brought in Pat Bev.
Yep.
Torian Prince. Hey.
His name?
Hey, Timberwolves. And they expelled Jarrett Culver, Ed Davis, and Juancho Hernan Gomez, and Ricky Rubio, I thought Minnesota and him are through and through, man. Man, poor Ricky Rubio. Again, he hates getting traded.
Well, man, who would you rather play for, Minnesota or Cleveland?
Right now, Minnesota.
It's pretty shitty either way.
Yeah, I know. Minnesota. Green's my favorite color, even though I don't like the Celtics. Green's my favorite color, so I like their scheme. But anyway, I have here, hopefully a year without injuries can surprise some. I think with a year without injuries, you give me a starting lineup of Karl Anthony Towns, Malik Beasley, Anthony Edwards. I'm trying to find more numbers here. D'Lo and Josh Okogie, or something along those lines.
Miles Reed or something.
Yeah, I don't mind that in the East. Here's the problem, JL. They're in the West.
And geographically, where are they?
They're in the East. I actually put should be in the East geographically and also quality. If they were in the East, they'd be part of the bloodbath this season. I would put them in there.
Yeah, to the bottom end of it.
Yeah,
but
come on, Cat's a great player.
Look, I think Karl Anthony Towns, the fact that he's in his 7th year is ridiculous. Yeah, I still feel like he's so young, but he missed pretty much all of last year, and I feel like he's missed some other seasons as well. I think he's going to have an All NBA year.
Okay. Yep.
He might not make it.
Is it 2 or 3 teams?
3.
Yeah, he could make that.
He might not make it, but I think statistically he'll be good enough. It's just whether his team actually wins games, because obviously it's so hard to make it if you don't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But All NBA, I think so. All-Star, lock it in.
Yeah.
He's off to a flyer. He's probably not a hot take, but people just haven't realised yet. He's probably the best shooting big of all time already.
Yeah.
He's shooting like 8 threes a game, hitting him at 40%. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then you got, Anthony Edwards, he dropped 30 today. I think he started the season unbelievably well. D'Angelo Russell, I'm not sold about.
No, neither am I.
It's not a bad piece to have because he's still finding his role. He's sort of always played as that number 1 option early on in his career, and now he's trying to work out how to feed the ball a bit more. You're right. It is a decent team, and like I said, Beasley's all right. Naz Reid can play. Okogie can play. That can defend especially. They've got some decent talent. Even bringing in Pat Bev, who I can't stand, is going to be great for their defense.
Yep. Because D'Lo is not much of a...
No. But I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. And this is why I'm so impressed with Memphis. They've been able to make that jump.
Yep.
But, I just can't see them making the playoffs. But I really, really like this team.
So last season in the West, the Minnesota Timberwolves finished 13th.
But Cat was out the whole year.
Cat was out a lot of it. To get into the play-in game, you need to finish 10th. Last season, above them were the Kings, the Pelicans, the Spurs.
They're better than all those 3.
And then there's a few up there. But so the Kings, the Pelicans, and the Spurs.
100% better than them.
They're better than the Pelicans and the Kings. They're better than the Pelicans and Kings. I always don't know how to predict the Spurs. Which
No one does, but they're better than the Spurs.
I'll get into saying. But at their best, I think that, yes, they can jump those 3. And so that would take them to the... That wouldn't take them into the playing game, would it? Oh, no, it would.
Who have they got to jump over? No, that'd be it.
So 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. They've got to jump those 3 this season.
I think they'll make the playing game then.
10th?
Then anything can happen.
Yeah.
I really like Ant Edwards. He's funny too. I like him.
Yeah, he's a very... I don't know. His size, you might be mistaken to think that he, might be very... I've used the word silky already. You might be mistaken to think that he's not a slasher, or that he's more, he's going to shoot a lot, and he tries, and he does, but he's best with his athleticism, his hops, and his slashing ability, his speed. But he will step outside and he will shoot, which is just his little thing that he needs to tweak.
In the draft combine, I remember there was some stat, and I'd never heard anyone reference it before, but he was in the 99th percentile for deceleration speed.
Okay.
And I was like, bizarre, I've never heard that before. And then you watch him play, and he drives and just stops.
Stops on a dime.
And everyone runs past him, and he just jumps up, pops it in.
Yeah, no, he's a very bright spark, Anthony Edwards, the number 1 pick. So hopefully the Minnesota Timberwolves do what we say and go above 13th. The New Orleans Pelicans, JL. Haunted house music. Okay, I've got here something terribly wrong with the feel about New Orleans Pelicans. Not excited at all. I'm not. The team's lease in New Orleans, and this is getting some rumblings. This is a crazy rumbling to have about your team, especially if you're from there and you're a dedicated fan. Sorry, but the team's lease in New Orleans concludes in 2024. So that's one problem. Will Zion be the first ever player to turn down the rookie max extension? I guess is my first question to you. Are you as pessimistic about the Pelicans as I am?
I normally can't stand all this. He's been in the league for 1 year, and people start talking shit. And the second year, and it's just to get stories and headlines and stuff. But for the whole time, I felt like it was true for Zion. Any other player, I'm like, nah, he's just young, and he's probably said something dumb, or doesn't know how to handle not being the main guy anymore. Just adjusting to the league. But this whole time with Zion, I felt like it's true. The fact that he's weirdly close with his family, that's his inner core, and they've made it clear they don't like New Orleans. The whole stuff about David Griffin playing piano to him. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. Playing the piano to him?
He invited Zion over for dinner, and there was like some, like the that weird tweet about the how Jason Tatum boomed LeBron. And how sometimes they just journalists tweet weird quotes as like a story.
Yeah.
It was like David Griffin invited Zion to his house to clear up anything. He even played the piano for him.
Jesus.
So
hold on.
You would believe that team.
Could you imagine what? I'm just trying to paint a picture. What were they wearing? Was Zion standing over him as he? How far was Zion standing?
Zion wouldn't stand if he doesn't need to. I don't think. No, just a bizarre situation. Fuck David Griffin. Also, I'm putting that on the record.
He's done some nice things.
No, he's done terrible
basketball things. For the Cavs and the Pelicans.
He's been everywhere he's gone.
Hold on, sorry. When I say sorry. He's done nice things.
He's been gifted things.
So yes, I'm getting it mistaken with. He's always got good luck.
Yeah,
with the picks.
Bring him to Boston. Don't let him make any decisions, and I'll take his good luck. But everything else has been gifted to him. Kyrie was the number 1 pick from. I think they had like the 8th most likely chance to get number 1, and they got it. With Zion, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
Obviously lost AD, and the one team that he wanted to go to had great young talent. Got that.
Yeah.
And look who's come in for New Orleans this year. You got probably arguably the most talented young player the game's seen in like the last 10 years. And the ins are, you can read them out. Because you'll find the names.
All right. Jose Alvarado, Devontae Graham, Dalton Holmes, Herbert Jones, Trey Murphy III, Thomas Satoransky, Garrett Temple. When are you going to stop me? And Jonas Valanciunas.
One of those guys can play good minutes.
Jonas.
You've got one of the best young players in the league, and that's what you've done for him.
How old is he? Is he old? I thought he was not young. I didn't know who the hell you were referring to there.
No, he's done. His career's not done, but like he's not going to help them win a championship by the time Zion's speaking. But like you've got Zion there. You do everything you can to bring in good players.
Yeah.
And you're bringing in Dalton Holmes and Jose Alvarado.
Yeah.
David Griffin's shit, but the thing that annoys me the most is he lied to their fans and said Zion's healthy. They buy their season tickets. This is thousands of people spending their hard-earned money, and then at media day he goes, "Oh, by the way, 3 months ago he broke a bone in his foot. He's going to be out for a few months." That pissed me off.
Apparently he's put on something like 25, 30 pounds, and the photos of him.
He's a big boy.
He looks like me. Look at me in the camera. He looks like me.
He's not as handsome as you.
Zion, I don't know, man. So okay. So will Zion be the first ever rookie to turn down the rookie max?
Yeah.
He will.
Yeah. He's out as soon as he can.
Oh, no one has ever turned that down.
He's
not
out
even Ben
as
Simmons.
Soon as he can. What's the difference? He's already got like a massive contract from Nike. What's the difference in terms of if he turns it down and then signs what he's eligible for a few years after?
Yeah.
He's probably turning down like I think it's $40 million over 5 years.
Yep, something like that.
Which he'll make in contracts anyway from sponsorship. He's fine.
Yep. Will New Orleans Pelicans in 2025 still be the New Orleans Pelicans, or will they be the Seattle Pelicans or the Las Vegas Pelicans?
Anytime there's rumors like this, it happened with Sacramento not that long ago.
Yep.
It never comes true.
It couldn't. It's such a big thing. But if there's any place, opening night, Joel Embiid. Let me just say, Joel Embiid, Sixers played the Pelicans. They're both their first game of the season. And he sort of trashed them a little bit. He said, the arena wasn't full. Not a lot of seats filled. He's like, I couldn't imagine playing for a team like that. And look, that's, it's maybe not his right to say that about them. He was more so talking about how good the Philly crowd is. But I also couldn't imagine being Zion, right? Or Brandon Ingram. You come to opening night, pandemic's just finished up. It's time to, get back to life and celebrate. And no one's there. So the owner also owns the New Orleans Saints from the NFL. Mm-hmm. So you could be like, wants to keep it together, but no billionaire owner is interested in losing money.
This is a very, very odd desire I have, but I want more than anything
a team in Seattle.
New Orleans take their name for Jazz back. So somehow this team needs to leave, Utah needs to leave, and somehow they come back as the New Orleans Jazz.
Yeah, they do need to be. The Jazz in New Orleans is very prominent. Anyway, last season they finished. What's that? 13th, 12th, 11th, just outside the playing game.
Yeah, they're going down. Zion's not going to play much, and Brandon Ingram can't lead this team. They've got no young talent.
Everything's just about them just boring.
They've lost Lonzo. They've lost Bledsoe. James Johnson played decent minutes. Steven Adams is all right.
Yeah.
They haven't brought in anyone that's decent except for Valanciunas. Satoransky's okay.
Yeah. Also, we didn't mention it last week, but James Johnson's on the Nets playing. What?
He's been in the last year of his career for the last 6 years.
Yeah, he's playing. Like, he's actually on the floor a lot in this Nets side, and I just don't understand what that is. When I saw him, I'm like, that's not James Johnson.
He's still going around.
That's not James Johnson.
Still going.
Anyway, moving on. The New York Knicks, the most valuable team in the NBA, like always. Something like $4 billion plus USD. They retained RJ Barrett, Alec Burks, Taj Gibson, Kevin Knox, Nerlens Noel, Emmanuel Quickley, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, Derrick Rose, and Obi Toppin. And they brought in Evan Fournier, Quentin Grimes, Wayne Selden, and Kemba Walker. There he is. They lost Reggie Bullock, who I can't imagine not with the Lakers or the Knicks. They also let go of Frankie Smokes, Ntilikina.
Frankie's gone.
Has he ever played for another team? I don't think he has, other than the Knicks. I don't think. No.
He was drafted by the Knicks, like pick 6, I reckon.
Yeah. Alfred Payton. Have you seen the whole Alfred Payton Twitter thing?
No.
There's this page, shout out James Lee, friend of the show, he showed me it. And it's just this random, like, no profile picture. I can't even remember what they're called. It's my fault. But everyone's like, You're Alfred Payton, aren't you? Like, anyway, and then he never tweets during the game or something like that, or when Alfred Payton's on the floor, and he just doesn't help his case because he's like, I'm not Alfred Payton, and then everyone keeps
That's something that Alfred Payton would say.
Yeah, everyone's like, Alfred, don't try and get us. Anyway, Alfred Payton is on the Phoenix Suns. Wasn't he already on the Phoenix Suns once in his life?
No,
I'm mixing that up.
He was on the Pelicans.
He's on the Pelicans. Yeah, it's the same shit. Norval Powell doesn't have a team. Anyway, let's get into it. The New York Knicks, what have you got to say about them?
They retained every single player on their list last year that was good.
Yep.
And I did write there, sorry, Frankie Smokes, because I know Knicks fans loved Frank Ntilikina, but they also hated him. But he can't play basketball. Kind of defend. They did bring in Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier. Yeah. When you said Fournier, I was like, that's wrong. And now here I am saying but I don't think they're going to be much better than last year. I think they'll be good. And they're in that bloodbath of the East, that middle ground. But my Warriors come to the playoffs. Julius Randle last year was shit in the playoffs. Kemba Walker was probably worse.
Yeah.
Evan Fournier, probably about on par with Kemba. RJ Barrett was terrible. They just don't have players that, and I said this earlier, what makes teams successful in the playoffs is having players that can fill multiple roles and are versatile on the floor. And that's just, I don't see that. Their most versatile player would be Julius Randle, and I don't think he's going to be as bad as he was ever again than he was in the playoffs last year. But the other guys I mentioned have clear weaknesses.
Fournier is not meant to be in the playoffs. For me,
when you can't defend, and he can create his own shot to an extent, but he does rely heavily on back screens and on ball screens. So if you get 2 weeks to prepare for an opponent, that's easy to negate. Then guys like D-Rose will show up. Quickly he can play, but he's low efficiency. He reminds me of like I've just completely forgotten, Jamal Crawford or Lou Williams or someone like that back in the day. Obi Toppin, I wouldn't get my hopes up in the playoffs. Mitchell Robinson, he's not going to carry an offense. Might get a few blocks, might also lead to a few fouls. They're very one-dimensional at the moment. I think they've got a high ceiling, but also quite a low floor.
A high ceiling?
If everyone's playing well.
The Knicks.
if everyone's playing well,
I was just about to jump in and start saying good stuff, but I have to now stop and say bad stuff. They don't have a high ceiling.
you reckon?
A high ceiling?
Yeah. No,
What's the best they can do? What's the absolute perfect situation? But obviously no one else is like injured.
second round.
Oh, that's not
That's like, for the Knicks, it is. Though.
Yeah, for the Knicks it is.
For a team that got, they get swept in the playoffs last year. I think they did
Yes.
by Atlanta.
Yeah.
Or maybe they won one game.
Maybe they won.
To make the second round, that's a high ceiling for this squad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
their floor is the 8th seed, and
Yeah. Sorry, I know what you mean now. Yeah, they got a relatively high ceiling.
not a Brooklyn high.
Yeah, right. So in another way to say that, I was going to go a bit more optimistic. The Knicks fans need any type of winning because of what they've lived through.
They're already so excited.
Yes, and Tibbs is giving them that. He'll give you that. He great at squeezing the juice out of all the juice out of the squad, the good juice, but will never be enough for any real success is what I've got here. Will never be enough until you get real players, right? So this is good for now. Knicks fans are happy. They need to change the narrative about their all-time narrative about what they're about. Not just because clubs aren't just about winning trophies, because even though that's what you should always aim for, in my opinion, you should always be what's your quickest route to a trophy. There's a journey. And the Knicks are never on the journey, or they're never anywhere. They're never even, knocking out the guys who are on the journey. They're just doing nothing. Now they're at least, at best for me, they're hindering, they might sort of put a dent in some, of the top teams and stuff like that. They finished 4th last season. That was such a strange ranking, but anyway, nice. They're going up or down? Down. They will go down. Sorry, Knicks fans. But because of, they're still going to have fun. Are they going to make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are going to make the playoffs. Same here. I've got that. And it's good stuff. Good to see the Knicks winning. However, that relatively high ceiling for me is just as high as until they one day get that real star that they KD Kyrie that they always wanted. So maybe Zion. So we'll see.
How big is he going to be by then?
He'll be a big star. He'll be a huge star. Anyway, that wraps up. We're going to turn this into 2 parts, actually, JL. We're going to make it part 2 and 3 because it is a very long one. That wraps up this episode and the preseason predictions for the Bronx Cheer Basketball Show. If you're new to the show, of course, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell on YouTube, or just the subscribe or follow button wherever you are on your podcast app. Check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, the Bronx Cheer Basketball. The talk.
We're on the talk.
JL's hot takes are all over it. So check us out on there. Go follow us there. JL, I'll speak to you next week.
You'll probably message me before that.
I'll message
Nave
you.
He's clingy, but I'll be here again next week.
I'll speak to you next week.
When he's sticking you and taking all your money.